Hi, how are you? Well, for those who don't know me, my name is Monica and I'm an EOI teacher in the south of Spain. EOI schools, in case you don't know, are specialized public schools which are specialized for giving official certifications and to grant different certifications with different levels from the A1 level to the C2 level in different languages. So I'm getting a lot of questions from you guys either in Instagram or through my YouTube channel on what type of exams are you going to face, because many of you is the first time that you're taking your final examinations in EOI. So I just thought, why not? I'm gonna jump in here, and it's super terrifying for me because it's the first live that I'm doing, but I hope I will be able to clarify some doubts about these exams. Okay, so first things first, the most important thing about official exams in EOIs is that depending on where you live, okay, you're going to find different types of exams or different type of activities. The time is different, etc. So the first thing that you need to be aware is the area where you're going to take your exam. Okay, so you need to find out exactly what is going to be like, what is the exam going to be like by checking in your community education website. Okay, what is the structure of your exams? Okay, because depending on where you live is going to be totally different. Okay, the area where I live is Andalusia, the south of Spain, so I'm going to be basing this video on the characteristics of my area. Okay, but maybe it can give you some ideas. Okay, so let's begin from the beginning. The beginning is how many parts does this exam have? Okay, and in total there are 5 different parts. Okay, you're going to have a passive parts, which are the reading part and the listening part. Okay, and then you're going to have the production, more active parts such as speaking, writing, and finally mediation, which is the last part that has been recently introduced and honestly is creating a little bit of confusion. So maybe we can clarify something today. Okay, so let's begin with the beginning, of course, and talking about the reading exam. Okay, what kind of questions can I be asked? How many texts am I going to encounter? Okay, so right now, okay, at least in Andalusia, you're going to have a reading exam which has normally 3 texts. Okay, 3 different texts, and each of them is going to be about a different topic. Okay. What do you need to do? What kind of questions are you going to find in this type of exams? Okay, I'm going to give you an exact, my cheat sheet, example of what kind of questions were in Andalusia the previous year, in particular for the level C1, okay, to give you an idea. So for example, text number 1 was a text about anxiety and stress, all right? And then what you needed to do was to find the correct heading, okay, heading for each paragraph. So basically you're going to have a text and then they have taken out the headings, okay? The heading is one sentence that summarizes one whole paragraph, okay? So you're going to read your text and then look at the headings and try to match each heading with each part of the exam, okay? So that was text number 1. Obviously they're gonna give you, at least last year they gave 2 extra headings to confuse you, because you don't have to use all the headings, so you need to rule out 2 headings that are extra and the rest you need to match them to the correct paragraphs. Okay, now text number 2 was one about fake news, okay, news that are not true. And what you needed to do was to find some missing sentences, okay? A text was not complete. They had taken out, in this case, sentences, full sentences, and you have to match the missing sentence to the right space, okay? And it was about fake news. And then text number 3 was about marijuana, and the legislation of marijuana. And this text was a multiple choice. A multiple choice means that you have a whole text and then you have some questions with an A, B, C, and D. You had 4 different options, A, B, C, D options, and you have to choose the correct one, okay? So, So these were the 3 different types of texts that were in Andalusia for the level C1 last year. Okay, so you can expect to find, from 2 to 3 texts. If it's Andalusia, it's going to be 3 texts, okay? And this type of activities is very typical. The missing sentences is very typical A, B, C, D, or A, B, C if it's a lower level, for example, B1, okay? And then sometimes the heading as well. So these are very typical activities that you can encounter with your reading, okay? Normally when you do your official test, okay, you will begin with your reading, okay, with the reading comprehension. And later, normally you will do the listening, okay? So let's talk about the listening. What kind of listening questions can you encounter? Again, I'm going to tell you what happened last year, okay? And the first listening was about the 7 wonders, okay? The 7 wonders of the world. And what you needed to do was listen to 7 different extracts from that topic, from the 7 wonders, okay? And you had to identify each extract with a sentence that was more or less the summary of what it was said, okay? So imagine that a person is speaking about one of the wonders of the world, like the pyramids in Egypt, okay? And then that was extract 1. So you have to put extract 1 with a sentence that goes, the beautiful pyramids in Egypt, okay? So you match extract 1, pyramids of Egypt, okay? Obviously for the C1 it was not that simple, but something like that, okay? So 7 extracts in total. With the text number 2, with the listening number 2, it was about a topic of the typical Chinese, they're called bobbleheads. Bobbleheads, I believe so. So the toys that go like this with their heads moving to the front and back, okay? So it was a listening, an audio about that topic. And this was a multiple choice kind of activity, okay? So again, A, B, C, choose the correct answer, okay? Different to the reading before, the listening, you only have 3 options, A, B, or C, okay? So you had to choose the correct answer for that audio. And then, at least in Andalusia, you listen to the audio twice, okay? So a few years ago, it was 3 times, but now it's back to twice, okay? So you listen to the audio twice. And finally, the last text, it was one about California architecture, okay? And in this particular activity, and it was probably the most difficult one, is to complete or to fill in the missing words, okay? So some words were taken out and you had to fill in the correct word or the correct phrase, okay, that was missing in the text, okay? And again, you listen to it twice, okay? So that's the minimum, twice that you listen to the audio. So these were the reading tests and the listening tests in Andalusia last year for the C1 level. Speaking about the writing test, okay, normally you do, after the listening, you have a break, okay, so that you can, rest your brain. And then you continue with the writing activity, with the writing text. In Andalusia, is 2 different types of text, one that is longer and one that is a bit shorter. The one that is longer is normally about a general topic, and the one that is shorter, it's a reply to a little input that you receive, maybe an email from someone or something like that, okay? So the one that was longer last year was an opinion essay, and you had to give your opinion on the fact that men discovered housework during this past lockdown, okay? So basically giving your ideas, giving your opinion about the topic of men and housework during lockdown, okay? The limit or the number of words that you had to write was 200 words. That's the maximum for the longest writing, okay? And then the second writing is, or it was about a little message that you had to write about a complaint that you received in one of your accommodations. So basically you were a hotel manager and you received a person's complaint, just complaining about the type of accommodation that they received, the service that they received, etc. So you had to reply to that customer apologizing, okay? So the maximum number of words that you had to write this activity was in 175 words, okay? So those two were the two parts of the writing. Now the writing, it's a very demanding activity because you need to be fully concentrated. You want to show all your knowledge, all your vocabulary, all your structures. So what I really recommend doing is preparing in advance a little diagram with your main ideas. What is the order that you're going to follow before you begin writing? Because many times we get stressed out, like, oh, I don't have time, this is a lot, this is going to be too short. So you start writing straight away, but that is a problem. So prepare in advance a few ideas on a piece of paper before you begin with your writing. Obviously, in a writing such as the opinion essay, in advance prepare this type of writing. Like, what is the structure for an opinion essay? How can I begin? What can I say in my introduction? What are the typical phrases that I can use to begin for my conclusion, in the main body, etc. So you need to be more or less familiar with the typical writing essays, which are the most important ones, or the most common ones are opinion essays, articles, and pros and cons, advantages and disadvantages. So have a look at the structure, prepare them in advance, and memorize and learn by heart what are the expressions that you're going to use in this type of exams, okay? Right. So let's move on to the speaking part, probably your favorite. Many of you were asking, because it was the first time that you were taking this exam, will they give me the activity? How do I know the topic that I'm going to do? Do I have time to prepare? Again, this all depends on the area where you're going to take the exam. Okay, I'm going to tell you in Andalusia how it goes. So when you come in the room, you're going to see a variety of topics, of course, covered, so you cannot see what topics are inside the envelopes, okay? And you're gonna choose one topic, okay? When you open that activity, you're going to have an activity sheet with two parts. You're going to have at the top, you're gonna have a monologue, okay? You're going to speak about a topic, and then at the bottom, you're going to see a dialogue or an interaction that you need to have with your partner, okay? Now, the topic that is, your monologue, you have, at least in Andalusia again, from 3 to 4 minutes maximum, okay, to speak about X topic, okay? Examples of monologues in Andalusia in C1, they were, for example, cyberbullying, the environment, creativity, dieting, okay, some of those topics, okay? And what happens with the 3 or 4 minutes? Some people were asking, how do I know when is time? You know, when the time is up? How do I know? Will the teacher tell me to stop? Okay, that again, it depends on your teacher. It depends on the people in front of you. Okay, but obviously, if you really speak for much longer than 4 minutes, they will tell you, they will let you know that you need to, to conclude. Okay, some people, what they do, they just project the timer on the board so the student can see a timer and the time is going, so that more or less they can have control on their time. Okay, that really depends on the teacher that is going to be in the examination room with you. All right, what I like to do, I like to give my students the opportunity to have the timer on the board. So if they are okay with it, I like to project it so that they know exactly how long they've been speaking for. However, if the timer goes off, because sometimes what happens is the timer goes off, beep, 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 and they go, oh my God, and they just paralyze, they just freeze, and they stop talking. Remember, you don't have to be that strict, you can finalize at least your final idea, okay, reach a conclusion and then finish, but it doesn't have to be boom, okay, I just go dumb. No, you can finish your idea if it's, of course, something short, okay, so it doesn't have to be that drastic. Okay, what happens with the dialogue part? Okay, the dialogue part is basically you need to have a conversation with your partner, and you need to do something. For example, last year, some examples where you had to plan a trip together and you had to decide different things. What destination, how long, what kind of accommodation, okay? So this is an interaction on suggesting ideas, and then your partner agreeing with you or disagreeing with you, etc. And finally, you needed to reach a conclusion or an agreement in the end, okay? Another example of a dialogue was you had to go to a friend's wedding and you had to decide together what wedding gift to bring, okay? So you need to decide together what is, should we buy a watch, should we buy some clothes, should we buy blah, 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 okay? So some people were asking, can I prepare this dialogue together with my classmate the day of the exam? Not really, okay? You are giving some time to prepare both the monologue and the dialogue alone, okay? Individually, right? So you just take some ideas on a piece of paper, okay? And then when the time comes, you just need to go with the flow, You have some ideas on your paper and then try to follow the conversation with your partner, but you don't really know exactly what your partner is going to say. That is the complexity of the conversation part, okay? But if you are prepared, if you have practiced enough, I am sure you can do it, okay? So that preparation, many people ask me, can I speak with someone? Not really. So it's an individual preparation time, and all you have is a piece of paper. At least in Andalusia, I am aware that in other areas of Spain, you're not even allowed to take notes. I'm so sorry. That is terrible. But you need to have a strong focus to remember all your ideas. But if you are lucky enough to have a piece of paper, just write down your ideas and make sure you check your notes, okay? Make sure that you check what you've written, because many times we get really nervous and we forget our beautiful notes, okay? So simply take your time. If you have to stop the conversation for a few seconds, just do, and, check where you're going, and carry on as you can. Okay? Right. This is the first time I'm doing a live. I'm super nervous. But anyway, I hope someone watches this. I can see a few of you there. Thank you for being there. Okay.